Yes. So please feel free to ask all your questions. So, who we are? My name is Gera. I am marketing manager at Concircle. We have our IBP expert, Rodrigo, our digital process architect, and we have our IBP supply chain planning expert, Galina Tovstik, came from Slovakia. So yes, that's the team for today's webinar. So just a short information about concircle. We are an IT consulting house. We offer digital services with the focus on vertical integration and test automation. We have over 350 successfully implemented projects around Europe. Yes, our team is growing, and we have 4 subsidiaries in Austria, Switzerland, Germany, and Slovakia. So I wanted to keep this one short. So for more information about our portfolio and services solutions, please follow our LinkedIn page and the website. So now we are landing to our webinar introduction, and I will give my word to Galina.
Hello. Nice to welcome you at our webinar. I will start with a little introduction of Analytic Stories. That's actually a really new functionality that was released by SAP in the quarterly release in November 2022. Before it was available only for Analytic Cloud. And now we have almost same functionality with a minor restriction in IBP, and the planners could benefit from it and use it in a real-time planning in IBP. What does it look like? So actually it combines, so to say, the functionality of the previous apps, analytics and dashboards, but also it has way more flexible interface and extra features that can benefit the functionality that was available before. There is a new app in IBP that we can configure and use it as a personal app for each other story. So new app offer the option of creating the charts and the different tables and graphs and analytic visual different visual analytics that is really real-time analytics related to SAP IBP planning area. So it means when we refresh it, it gets the new data, and we always have the actual results in our tabs. It could be a very good input for analyzing risks. For example, like we open every time a dashboard to see the score and to check the risk management. And then we have to consider if we are about to take some action about it or we rather not. Nice feature to discover there is that we can share our analytics created and predefined before with the other users. And we are also able to restrict them, for example, for read access and for write access. So if we want somebody to contribute, we could establish write access, and the other users are able to add something or to edit something. That's a usually cool feature, and it's all about transparency that is declared by SAP IBP. Stories could be also enhanced by dynamic text or images or objects added, or even web pages added there that could also enrich the data that we are going to present with our analytic stories. Good thing also available in this release that we could export our analytic stories created into PDF file, and we are looking forward to have this exporting option in PPTX. So like you created a story, and then you could send it to the other users who even don't have access to SAP IBP. That we will cover a little bit later in the video, where I will show a bit the functionality a bit deeper. Yeah, so I will briefly describe the main key features that we would like to talk about. So I think the most important feature, or maybe the most interesting, is the calculation of our individual measures that could be calculated on top of what we have in planning area. Usually the configuration of the planning area is quite complex and you are not authorized to create your own measures. So if you need some additional calculation, you ask your consultant, and that requires some effort and some time. And here you can create your own measure. It means that you don't affect the data that we already have in the area. You create it only for yourself, but you can leverage of using this measure because you can add it after to your charts. You can use it as a filter. You can use it in any visualization. So you can work with it like with every regular measure. But you don't affect the area and you don't need anybody to contribute. You configure in your own way. Actually, our interface is very user-friendly and user-driven. That's the first thing. The other thing is the very good, I would say, very good feature about linked analysis and filters. You can link single objects and the pages and the whole story and use filters just to save your time for the filtering when you work with some restricted scope of data. Also, the good thing is that wasn't available before about the combining of different planning areas. Even we are not talking about the scenarios and versions, we are talking about the different areas. For example, if you have two different planning areas and you would like to compare the results, you can do it exactly on the same page with the same analytic story. What's also good is conditional formatting. We can use it to create a threshold and to color it. For example, to have some slide that is related to risk management. And we can check it once if it is in high risk section or lower risk section. Of course, we divide the range by ourselves. Stories can be a little bit modified in a personal way, but also it could be created in development environment and then transferred to production. So that's usually a short introduction. We will see the functionality a bit later.
Okay. You can take over.
Yeah. Okay. Hope everybody can hear us or hear me. Let's fix it. Okay. So going to the introduction for the shelf life planning. This was just recently introduced by SAP 2211, so November 2022, in the space of order-based planning. So for sure, we already have this shelf life planning introduction or being used by other customers in the time series space, but it was just very recent that this has been deployed to order-based. So just a short intro for this. We know that from the previous planning tool, APO, for example, we also have this functionality available in SNP and PPDS. And this came a bit later, actually, during the deployment of the APO system. However, this has been used by life sciences industries, for example, and other FMCG companies who are dealing with the shelf life products. Now it's the turn for IBP. And in particular, we now have this functionality in the order-based planning. So we have here the example of the real-time integration. So as part of the introduction as well, we need to bear in mind that some of the objects that we need from the connected SAP system or S4, for example, we need to do certain implementation of these several nodes. So for example, these nodes with respect to the master data. So in the master data dimension, we will be able to bring the shelf life information of the material. And of course, we can also bring the shelf life, the remaining shelf life master data in the info record, for example, in order for us to populate um, the shelf life master data in the transportation lane in IBP. And also, in addition, we have certain bodies or extension that we can do on top of the standard integration. So here you have the available material underscore MAP underscore IBP, for example, where you could use this if you have like several S4 system, let's say two or more S4 system. And because you would want to depict them in IBP like one unified material, then this particular extension you can use. And in the same manner, we also have for T-Lane and also for PDS. So one general comment that we can, let's say, recommend to you is also to pay attention not only on the generic notes implementation, but of course on these manual activities attached to the note. And it's also very important to say for now, which we will also show you later, that there are certain planning parameters that you have to do afterwards directly in IBP. Then next is the transactional data. So a little bit of introduction as well. So similar with the master data, we will be bringing the, let's say, the sales orders, the stocks into IBP. And since we are talking about real-time integration, there are still some nodes that you have to implement on the connected execution system or S4. And again, just please pay attention on the manual activities because they are really important in order to make it work. And again, finally, for the body's implementation, you could extend some additional, let's say, functionality in the integration if you will implement these different bodies. So we have for sales order, we have for the PO, and we have for the requirement reduction. So we have some hope you can hear me. So we have some polls prepared or questions prepared for you. We would want also to know you better. And as part of the agenda here, if you could answer, please, 4 questions, right, that we have, and we will be happy to receive your feedback. So maybe we take like 30 seconds for a pause, and then we will continue afterwards. Okay, seems we have the answers already. Thanks once again for your feedback. Then we can continue. Share again my screen. Yeah. So What we will now share with you is the recording that we prepared. So the assumption here is we have already the data setup, and of course, we would want to explore how it will look like directly in the system. The integration models are activated in S4 or in a connected execution system. These data, for example, the stocks, could be viewed in IBP. How you can view this is through this general response section under the View Stock Details app. In this Fiori application, you should be able to see the different batches that you have integrated, in particular with the product location combinations that you have there in the model. In our example, as you can see, we have 4 different stock batches. And the first batch, which this 534, is actually already expired according to the expiration date information. In this application, you also have the possibility to see um, the type of stocks. For example, if they are unrestricted stock, QI, blocked, and so on. Mm-hmm. So this is how you can view the data when we have already the model activated in S4 system. And again, it depends on how many combinations that you have put into the integration model. We'll continue. Similarly, those stocks information could also be viewed in the projected stock Fiori application. In this application, you could also filter the products and or locations that you would want to view in IBP, and also if you would want to see on a different version level. In this example, we will be focusing on the base version. So, looking again on the same product under 1010 location, here at the bottom, you will see this stocks information. On the top, you will see this expiration date information. If I click this, you will see the different batches numbers and also the corresponding quantity. Mm-hmm. So this is how you can also view the stock information in the projected stock. Yeah. Moving on. The master data for shelf life planning. So there are certain information that we need to consider here because not everything are actually integrated from S4. So for start, when you want to view the data in IBP, so you can use the Manage Master Data application. And depending on the planning area design that you have in your order-based planning setup, you will be able to see the different master data types accordingly. So for the ones that are coming from S4, so we have here, for example, the product master data type. The two important, let's say, attributes that we need to pay attention here is actually the minimum remaining shelf life and also the shelf life planning active indicator. So these two attributes comes from S4, and the prerequisite for this is actually if you have set up the batch management for the product that you would want to plan in IBP. Similarly, what you could also integrate automatically from S4 is, for example, the transportation lane. Now, of course, you will have, let's say, two options here in case you would want to use directly from the info record master data, or you could also use some body extension to influence the integration or the calculation of the shelf life. So Talking about now for those master data type that are independent from the integration model. So for example, we have the location product master data. Here. So for this case, these two attributes are still relevant. And as you can see, because we have now the information of the location, we have the possibility to have a different minimum remaining shelf life information. Now, how do we populate this in IBP? So we have an option of doing this via rule-based master data, or we can also directly do it here in the Manage Master Data app, or do some file upload via the data integration application. And finally, for the production, so we have the PDS or the production data structure. So this information of the shelf life of plant production, we can also do on the same manner with the location product setup. Mm-hmm. So that's actually how we can view this data in IBP, talking about again both master and transactional data. And again, this is, as we said earlier, a preliminary introduction of shelf life in the order-based space. And therefore, we can anticipate that in the future, more functionalities are coming with respect to the integration. Yeah. So I will now proceed with our next part. So it's going to be a live demo now in our system. Yeah. So when we talk about the network now, we for sure needs to understand where is the goods coming from and to where, let's say, warehouse or distribution centers we are going to send the goods. And in IBP, we can actually use this intelligent visibility app. Of course, this depends on the license of your company that you are supporting, or maybe you are already in that company. If you have this control tower license, you could be able to use this intelligent visibility app. So we have prepared something like this, a very simple network, just for the purpose of demonstration. And here, this production plant 1010, this we will use our, let's say, manufacturing plant. And as you can see already, we have also the target locations here, our two warehouses, so 1012 and 11. Yeah. In the same app, we can also use or extend the network if we want to show which customers it is actually being supplied to. So if I take this customer under the data layers, now you will see that you have here these two customers being distributed from this particular warehouse. And we will use this example later in our shelf life planning results. Yeah. So let me go back now to our presentation. You now our demand element in order for us to see how the shelf life planning works in IBP. So suppose that we create a sales order in our connected S4 system. So I will go to the stock requirement list, and we have already prepared some test data for this purpose. So we have here this sales order of 500 eaches, 13761 for our distribution warehouse 1011, and the delivery requirement date is 28th of March. Yeah, it's just very short. And then now we will jump into using the same demand element or the sales order, and how it will be behaving when we run the algorithm in the order base. Now that we have the planning run results, you will be able to see now how the shelf life planning behaves. So we have here again the order 13761. And as you can see, on top of this, we have created or generated two different stack transfer requisitions. So at the moment, the stack transfer requisition has a 1:1, let's say, link to the corresponding batch. And we will see which batches have been used for this purpose. So we have split, let's say, 300 and 200 in order to fulfill our 500 sales order. If I click the sales order here, I should be able to see also that this quantity has been confirmed. And again, this is because we have included the allocation as a constraint in our supply chain network. In the order network, I could also see the link of the stack transfer requisition that were generated. So for example, here I have 300 and 200, and my requested date is actually 28th of March. And because of my lead time, it can be fulfilled on the 22nd of March on this location. And if I open it further, I should be able to see also the stocks that were used against on each of these stock transfer. Looking at the source or the ship from location of 1011, which is 1010. So here you will be able to see this stack transfer. And again, it is requested on this 22nd of March, so both of them, and the quantity is 300 and 200. Now, what you will be able to see here as well is the information of the expiring stock of 300, and that is because we have here these 300 that were not used by the algorithm because it's already expired. So this is one thing that you can already take advantage from the logic in shelf life planning, because this means that all those batches that, although we have integrated from S4 to IBP, they were not used by the algorithm. What were used are the following. So 765. Remember, our quantity here is 200. And therefore, this has been used first. So talking about now the first expired, first out logic, or the FEFO. And then, of course, my remaining quantity of 300, I have got it from these 267 batch, in which case I have a leftover, of course, of 200. And that's why we have here 300 and 200 in our stack transfer. Mhm. So we just prepared this very basic, let's say, demonstration, but to expound it a little bit, this particular functionality only works for now under the finite heuristics. So we can use the supply planning run and also the deployment, but only for finite heuristic. And hopefully in the coming releases, it will also be available in the optimizer. Yeah, so once we have the data, finally, the planning results, as you can see here, they are all IBP system generated order. We are now able to release the results back to S4. And that is, of course, already part of the standard functionality of IBP, not anymore on the shelf life, but that will be how we can feedback the planning results now from IBP planning into our S4 system. Mhm.
I would like to continue with the shelf life topic, and I would like to present some analytics based on shelf life planning heuristics. Though unfortunately, at the moment, analytic stories are not available for other based planning area. So the example is replicating the topic we were talking before, but for time series area and the time series heuristics run. Let's see how it works.
Hi, is there supposed to be a sound with the video?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we have the problem of sitting in the same room, so sorry.
I will share.
Yes, and just turn on maybe your microphone, so since you're gonna finish the presentation. We'll start again. Sorry for the inconvenience.
Welcome everybody to Best in Class Analysis of Analytic Story. I'm excited to share with you the capabilities of the app and to demonstrate its features. As far as our topic today is shelf life planning, the showcase is based on the results that were calculated by time series shelf life planning heuristics. The time series based shelf life planning heuristics takes the shelf life of the products into account when creating supply plan. Customer demands are defined with a required minimum shelf life, and this is the constraint we really care about. So from now on, we will check consensus demand from customer, stock on hand related to different batches and inheriting different expiry dates, and wastage calculated by the system. Let's start. That's how the analytic story looks like. In this story, we have 5 pages predefined, and we could easily add more. On the first page, we have prepared analysis related to projected stock distribution. First lane is focused on periods of expiration and the quantities from different batches. The other one rather showing the dynamics of the stock in time horizon, though referring also to shelf life. Opening a designer mode means that we could add or change key figures, time buckets, aggregation, version scenarios, color, formatting, whatever. Let's try some aggregating, changing time bucket from week here to month. Now it means that in April, we have 500 pieces of stock projected that has shelf life equal to 1 week, and so on in March. Let's move forward to the other page. Here we will see right now a table data. We might need a table data to check customer demand and calculated wastage quantity in time series. In the data table, we can directly create additional measures that reduces the need to extend the planning area. We can try to use here formula bar and create some simple calculation. Let's call it test calculation. But if we create a measure, it can benefit from the algorithms embedded. For example, calculating stock moving average in 1 click. Let's see how it works. Add calculation, and we can choose the option here. We can create also our own formula here that was already done for this calculated measure. Let's check it. Edit calculation. Let's choose our measure. And here we will see the formula. Stories also support different formatting options here. And we can, with stories, define a conditional formatting for a measure. The calculated measure is showing predefined threshold. Let's check it. Go to builder, checking the measure. Threshold can be shown, can be hidden here, and we can edit ranges for it. Let's check now different types of graphics and filtering option in here. I will close the designer. We can set up filter for the whole story or separate page or every single object. Let me refresh the data. Sometimes it takes a while. Okay, here we see the graphs. You can use multiple filters showing the different functionality, and we could add here to filter measures. Let me choose the chart. We could add measures, version scenarios, attributes, and it is also possible to link objects together and have one common filter for both. Here we have this table and the graph linked together. So if I choose one batch, I will see it reflected on a graph. The filter is also common for both objects. So if I change it here for only 2 batches, I will see it reflected here. We could also predefine high-level risk charts showing the alerts in order to be able to track quickly important data. Here we see the wastage quantity is reaching dramatic level and needs some action to be done. Also below, there is a ratio of demand to projected stock pictured with thresholds. Now we will try to create a chart for a user. It's actually possible to rearrange, copy, and drag all objects to any place we would like to see the data. I will copy this chart, put it here, and then modify. Let's try the other type of chart. Classical bar chart. Add in here, let it be total customer demand, total customer receipts. It will be measure. Okay, let's add a dimension. Week for dimension. And then change it to vertical. I would also like to change some formatting to change the decimals to 0. Okay, now it looks better. And we also can add a split. Trellis code. Let's add a customer in here. Okay. Now briefly I will show the functionality of linking to a web page. Here we can add an object or link and then refresh the data in here when we need it to be actual. So that's actually my personal story. And I even could add it as a separate app on the homepage. If I would like the story to be shared with somebody, I can do it with sharing options. If I do it in edit mode, I will get the possibility here to add users and to define for them read or write access. Also, I can email my story. Let's try it. Click in send in an email. Change the test. Dear colleagues, specifying the receiver, send. Also a good option is to export the story into a file, and we will get a PDF file with the story and with the graphs designed here. The table data can be shown in appendix, but we could skip it if we don't need it to be sent in PDF file. Actually, I really regret that I have time limited, but you are welcome to discuss the topic in Q&A session. Thank you so much.
That's actually the demonstrating of the system. We'll go forward, but in case you're interested in capabilities, we can discuss it later.
Okay, so we can proceed. Thank you, Kalina. So moving on to our agenda, we have here also the highlights or showcase from our previous and current consulting projects. So we have a section here that discuss about the life science industry, and the details are also available in our website. So in case you have questions about the details as well, please reach out to us. Yeah. Okay. We talked about the current function, both shelf life planning in order base and also the analytic stories. Now we would want to share with you the future directions of this functionality in IBP, as we know for sure that that this will expand more. So in 2305, we now have on the next quarter, like May 2023, we will now have the possibility to also, let's say, put the MRSL or the minimum required shelf life at the customer level. Yeah. So at the moment, we are limited only at the location product, but soon or in the next quarter, it should be available according to SAP. These at the specific customer. And we also have the possibility to control transportation lot sizes in consideration of shelf life, 1 quarter after next May release, and so on. Yeah. For analytics, we didn't find any specific topic or a specific future direction for order based, but we hope that it will also be available soon. So this you can also figure out and check directly in the SAP help documentation. Cool.
So that was it for today, and now it's our Q&A time. If you have any questions, if you have any feedback on the topics that maybe we've missed or that you would like to know more about, would be great if you put it in the chat. In other case, here are the contacts. Don't hesitate. You can contact us for a non-binding discussion regarding all the questions and your individual case. So we will be happy for your contact.